So this is the webinar to talk about the SAIF Care service, what it means, who we are, how it works, and any questions. Actually, really it is about the questions that you have to ask about the service. So I have a few slides I will whip through fairly quickly. You can stop me at any point, so I can see we've got Darren and Karen and Sue and Alan and Beth and Tim. So please feel free to say hi, throw any questions whenever you've got one, and just stop me if you need me to stop, or if the connection goes dodgy. The video's gone again. Oh, right, back again. SAIF Care is a brand new service that we actually launched at the weekend at the SAIF conference in Brighton, which was a whole lot of fun. We've actually been running the SAIF Care service for quite a while now. We piloted it back in 2017, and in fact I think it started around about October 2016, and we piloted it with probably 12 or 13 different businesses in about 25 locations across the UK, just to see whether or not people would use a bereavement care service that was provided by their funeral director. And that went really well, and we were quite pleased with the results that we got, but more importantly with the feedback that we got from both the funeral director, the funeral services staff, and from the bereaved people themselves, who really appreciated the opportunity to have that extra care. So the original pilot was called SAIF Bereavement Care. There is some debate as to whether or not it should go back to being SAIF Bereavement Care, but at the moment we're on SAIF Care. The telephone number is the same, the email address has changed a little bit, but unless you're a pilot, you wouldn't know any difference. And now we've been running really since January this year, but we launched officially at the AGM last weekend. So what are we talking about here? So SAIF Care is very distinct to the SAIF support service. SAIF Care is for your families. It's for the bereaved people that use your services, whereas SAIF support is the care service that we run for your staff members. So just to make that distinction. And SAIF Care is, again, unlike SAIF support, it is only concerned really with loss by bereavement. We're quite used to supporting people through different kinds of losses, but actually for the purposes of this service, we're talking about people who have used your services and have come to your business and you've arranged a funeral and looked after the family, and then actually you think for whatever reason that family might need that little bit of extra care in the future. So we talk about bereavement, the so-called condition caused by loss through death. And with all of these things, I've been running bereavement care services for more than 15 years. We'll leave that one there. But actually people often say I can be bereaved by loss of health, or by divorce, or by a pet bereavement, all of those different things. Actually that's not what this service is for. We won't send people away, but they would have had to have a bereavement, that they have come to your service, you've arranged a funeral, and that particular condition then means that they are eligible for our service. And talking about grief as well, which we all know is all of those feelings associated with bereavement. I'm not going to dwell on loss and bereavement today. So what's the problem, and why would we need a service like SAIF Care? Do we need a service like SAIF Care? Well, the scale of the problem at the moment, we're looking at around 530-ish thousand deaths a year in England and Wales. Don't have the stats to hand for Scotland, but clearly they will add a few to that number. And I used to be Director of Services for a charity called Cruise Bereavement Care, and we did some research back in probably the mid-2000s, 2005, 2006, something like that, that suggested that for every death, round about 3 people would be what you would call significantly bereaved. So people who really felt the loss, who were really affected by that particular loss. So on that basis, you could guesstimate really that about 1.5 million people a year are what we would class as being newly bereaved, significantly bereaved. Now you can argue all you like over those statistics. Some people have nobody who is significantly bereaved, maybe because the person was without friends and family around them, or just hadn't engaged with people. And you'll get people who, for example, maybe was a child, or somebody in middle life who might be really popular, or whatever it would be, well known, well connected, and well integrated with their community. And that could be seen as a whole different scale of people who will be significantly bereaved. It's very hard to measure these things. The other problem being that people tell us all the time that grief has no timescale, and that of course is correct. However, for the purposes of this service, we wouldn't be wanting you to direct people to us, particularly who were bereaved 10, 20, 30 years ago. The service is really for the aftercare of your clients. Now, what we do find a lot of the time is that when people come to our services, they would say to us, do you know what, it's not the recent bereavement that's been the problem. It actually was a bereavement 10, 15 years ago, it was when my dad died or my brother died, and actually it's now, with this more recent bereavement, that's when I'm really beginning to feel that maybe I haven't grieved in the way I could have done or should have done, or actually I've been getting on with life and it's only just hit me now, or a million other things that actually is the more recent bereavement that triggers off that grief reaction that can be really difficult to deal with. Everybody still with me? It's gone terribly quiet out there, making me nervous. Hello, John. You all right, holiday? So, bereavement care in the UK. A lot of the research and the work that we do still actually goes back to around about 2004. We did a lot of work with NICE, the National Institute for Clinical Excellence. And back in the day, they did a whole piece of work around supported and palliative care for people with cancer. And actually, a lot of bereavement care in the UK has been underpinned by that research. There has been more recent research on palliative care and end-of-life care, but actually we do an update to the palliative care guidelines and the supportive and palliative care guidelines for cancer next year. So it'll be really interesting to see if anything changes with regard to their guidance around bereavement care. So they recognise grief as being multidimensional. So it's something that can impact on every single area of your life. And people often say to me, why counselling, why support, why all that? Well, because actually, if your mental health is affected, you tend to find that everything else in your life is affected. Your work is affected, perhaps your role at home, your home life, your children, your family, money issues. It can impact on every area of your life. So grief is multidimensional. It's very normal. In fact, it would be very strange if we didn't grieve people. One of the things I say to people a lot when they ring our service is, wouldn't it be sad if you weren't sad for the person that you've loved for 45 years who died? Wouldn't it be strange? So don't feel bad about feeling bad. Actually, grief is very normal, and it's a normal response to a loss. Some people require additional help to get through bereavement. Not everybody by any stretch of the imagination. And this is really where some of that nice research, as in National Institute for Clinical Excellence, not just, that's nice research. Actually, that's where this research has really underpinned our understanding of bereavement care services and how we might go about providing them appropriately to the people who actually need them. So for most people, friends and family are going to be a main source of support, and that's absolutely right and proper. In fact, if we were great at not crossing the road and avoiding people, if we were great at speaking the words and saying those 4 little words, as we know, I'm sorry for your loss, if we weren't terrified of saying the wrong thing or upsetting people, actually there may be less need for services like SAIF Care, like Cruise, like all the other bereavement care services out there. But not everybody has good friends and good family. Not everybody knows what to say to somebody who's been bereaved. Not everybody knows how to help. And actually that's something I think we really need to look at as well within the SAIF Care service, how we do some grief education, we start conversations about what it's like to be bereaved, how grief affects us, and how we can support people better. The counselling is a bonus in lots of ways. So friends and family are the main support for most people. And many people don't need formal bereavement services. If you look at the figures of people getting into bereavement services, the numbers of people contacting bereavement services, it's a reasonably small percentage of people who actually do reach out and ask for some support. Now, that might be because we've put a million barriers in the way. It might be because it's very difficult to get into a service. It might be that people wait and wait and wait, and as you know, eventually, quite often, life changes. And within that, grief becomes easier to deal with. There are lots of different reasons why people don't come into a formal bereavement support service. And some of them are rubbish reasons, like it's really hard to get a good service, and some of them are very good reasons as well. But lots of people don't need formal support services. but some do. And the need for that formal bereavement support. Sorry, my computer's threatening to go to sleep, not surprised. The need for formal bereavement support is often associated with events that are particularly difficult to deal with, or that lower availability of social support. For those people who don't have a network of friends or relatives, they don't have involvement in community or church, they don't have that social support available to them, or they've had a particularly difficult time for bereavement, whether it is a long-term spouse or a partner, or a particularly difficult relationship, it might be an ambivalent relationship, it might be an unrecognised relationship. Through the death of a child, clearly lots of parents need support after that. And similarly with traumatic or sudden death, it can be particularly complicated. Or actually, it could just be that you've been particularly unlucky and had quite a few bereavements over a period of time, and actually it's really caught up with you. Okay. So there we are with bereavement. Just going to grab my water. And we talk now about things like complicated grief and prolonged grief disorder, which are actually now what's known. They are in the manual with the DSM-5 that was published a couple of years ago. So actually, when you go to your GP and they can check this is a recognised mental incapacity or a mental disorder, and can be associated with grief. We see some people with some of those very complicated reactions, but a lot of people are actually just sad or lonely or both, or traumatised, or just in a particularly difficult place. And it's sometimes quite difficult to recognise who's who and what's what and how much support people can need, and that's really where services like mine can come and help. But actually those difficult bereavements are associated with kind of negative health outcomes, so higher risk of mortality, just the higher risk behaviours, the smoking, the drinking, prescription drugs, non-prescription drugs, risky behaviour generally can be associated with bereavement. Increased use of health services, done lots of research over the years, which I won't bore you with now, around the number of GP visits that are made by people who have been recently bereaved. I couldn't tell you how many times people ring the helpline and say, I feel ill, my stomach's off, I can't sleep, I can't concentrate. These are all physical manifestations of grief. And actually, as a result of that, bereaved people do visit GPs, visit health services far more often than the non-bereaved population. And as a result of some these symptoms, and people don't take as good care of themselves as they could when they're bereaved, because they are concentrating on the grief. They are in a place where actually they're not feeling like going out for a run, eating healthily, sleeping well. They're not able to do that stuff. And actually the subsequent mental and physical health outcomes are much poorer for people who've experienced significant or complicated bereavements. And I quite like this quote. This is from Holly Piggerton, who I worked with years ago, who's done a lot of research around, in fact, it was really Holly Piggerton who was instrumental in making sure that complicated grief or prolonged grief disorder was actually recognised by health professionals. And she says it's important not to underestimate the ability of the people who are bereaved to judge the extent of their need for formal support. And back in the day when I used to work with NHS services, they were very concerned about measuring impact and evaluating why bereaved people came to services and what they got out of it. And actually they came up with a very unscientific way of measuring the outcomes of people who've been through bereavement care services, which was simply, if people say they feel better, they generally do. So there you go. It's not moved on that much since then, although we do some slightly more scientific measurements these days. But Holly Piggerton really was saying, actually, it takes a lot of courage for people to say, I need some help. It takes even more courage to pick up the phone or go on the email or however you would contact the service. So when people ask for support, it's our job not to say, go away and think about it for 3 months, or actually we've got a 6-month waiting list, or you know what, your bereavement just wasn't serious enough for us to deal with. None of that helps bereaved people. If people are asking for help, then actually it's a very supportive thing to do for us to offer that. So just to keep going on the nice theme a little bit, and to explain to people a little bit around where we're working within the NICE model. So what we would say is every bereaved person should have access to some information. and most of you guys will have fantastic information on your website. There's loads of stuff out on the internet. You go to GP, they will point you in the direction of all kinds of different organisations who will give you information about the experience of bereavement, and they might signpost you to a service. Whether or not you get a service isn't entirely, sometimes you can. And some of our funeral businesses have fabulous bereavement groups. They might have coffee mornings and all kinds of different ways that they try to support bereaved families. If you ever have 5 minutes to go and have a snoop on Helen Waffles, so do Waffles' website. Helen has a bereavement nurse who's also a grief journey practitioner running grief journey groups. They train to be counsellors. Some of the businesses that we work with as independent funeral directors really have grasped how important some of this work is, both for bereaved people and actually for their work in the community. Gives them lots of opportunities to engage with lots of different events in the community. So component one is pretty standard. We think everybody should be offered information. And actually, we don't see the SAIF Care service as really operating at that level. We will have a page on the SAIF website. It'll have loads of information on there, but actually there will be nothing particularly groundbreaking on there that you couldn't get anywhere else. Component two, some people might need a more formal opportunity to review their experience and reflect on their loss. So here's where you find most community bereavement services, where you might have volunteer bereavement supporters, self-help groups, faith groups, community groups, those informal, slightly more formalised, but largely informal mechanisms of support. And we will work with people at this level, and we'll happily support anybody within the SAIF membership who's already running a bereavement group. If you need any ideas about how to run a bereavement group, if you've got any problems with the bereavement group, if you want to set up a bereavement group, do give me a shout. I'm more than happy to help. But actually, we'll be working in SAIF Care towards component three. So really those families that you know, and I say to people often, how do you know? And often I'm told, you just know. You just know when a family comes to you and they tell the story and you hear about the bereavement and the impact that it's had, or maybe even subsequent bereavements or previous bereavements, you know when a family's going to struggle. And actually, you're normally right, because when people get referred to us, we will run a whole assessment process with them. It's very gentle, and most people don't realise that they are being assessed. But we look at various touch points in terms of the impact, the story of the loss and the bereavement, what's happened, who's died, how they died, what impact that's had, the response of the person who is bereaved, how they're actually coping or not, what their support levels are like at home within the community, whether they've had experience previously of any mental health problems or any health problems that might actually contribute to the difficulty and their bereavement, and actually what's most appropriate for them in terms of support. So we're working really at SAIF Care between component 2 and 3. So we are a specialist mental health service. We only offer counselling to trained and quite highly qualified counsellors. But actually what we also are kind, reflective, thoughtful people who answer the phone, who are more than happy to talk to bereaved people about what's happened and what that means to them, and figure out really the way forward and the best type of help we can give. Any questions so far? No, you're all okay, good. So bereavement service in the UK, this is a strange thing to put. There's an absence of evidence of substantial unmet need for bereavement services in the UK. That's because there hasn't ever been any research done into that particular issue. In fact, there's an absence of evidence about most things around bereavement care in the UK. The need for bereavement care, provision of bereavement care, effectiveness of bereavement care services. Having worked in this domain for years and years, the lack of evidence about all of these things is slightly disturbing, and hopefully over the next few years we might be able to contribute quite actively to the debate around what do bereaved people need, what works, and how best to provide it. The majority of bereavement services are provided by hospice and palliative care services. You will know in your own communities where you can get a bereavement service, so if your hospice has one, quite often they will only help people or work with people who have already been touched by hospice services. So they tend to be brilliant services, but quite hard to get into. You may have some bereavement groups. They're quite often quite specialist, so they'll be for people with different particular experiences of bereavement, for particular people, men, women, older people, younger people, whatever it would be. But actually to get into a generalist bereavement service is quite tricky. General practitioners and key people in the community play an important role in bereavement care, and this is where you come in, because actually what I know from experience is that bereaved people go to the GPs and they say, I'm not coping very well, or I'm not sleeping, or I think I might be depressed, or I'm ill, I just don't feel right. And 99.999% of the time, the GP will send that person to cruise. And this is absolutely no disrespect to cruise. If you cut me in half, it will probably say cruise in the middle somewhere. But actually, cruise have got very limited resources across the UK. If you can get a service, it's usually excellent. The problem is getting the service. So we know that actually GPs are sending people to a brick wall quite often because there's just not enough bereavement services out there. There are not enough people offering them, and they're kind of overwhelmed to a degree. So those charities such as Cruise, and there are lots of others as well, tend to use Cruise because I know it best. It was my service for a long time, I was very proud of it. But there are lots of other community bereavement services as well. But actually, of that 1.5 million people who are significantly bereaved in a year, they're actually only responding to, they're only receiving 55,000 inquiries and maybe helping around about 30,000 people. So actually the support available from that, the biggest organisation in the world, essentially, the biggest bereavement organisation in the world, is quite small when you look at the scale of the problem. And those charitable and community services are geographically patchy. There is nobody who has a full UK-wide coverage. There's nobody who has a full standard that says you have to be diploma trained, you have had to have training in bereavement care, you've got to provide evidence of continuing professional development, you have to have had a CRB check. There's nobody that actually does that as far as I'm aware, certainly, in the UK at the moment. And there's a problem with the waiting times. I have a question. What checks and balances are in place to ensure someone who wants to avail themselves of your support was a client of yours? Thank you, Karen. So when a client rings the helpline, there's two ways of people accessing our services. One is that the client picks up the leaflet or you tell them to ring us or email us, and they do. And the best availability, we have a list for the SAIF Care members, and we would say to that person during the course of their bereavement, and clearly they're going to come into the service, we need basic details such as name, address, and the name of the funeral service that they use. And if we felt for a minute that that wasn't the full story, or it wasn't accurate, or it wasn't true, then we would check. So we would check that the person who comes to us says, I have used this funeral service, and at that point we make sure that that funeral service is indeed a member. If we had any concerns, we would contact the funeral service and say, have you supported this particular client? The other way that people come into our service, with some of the pilots, and it works beautifully, and please do this if you want to, is actually the funeral arranger would be in close contact with the family, and then they would ask permission, and you must ask permission, and you must document permission if you're going to do this. They would say, we have a bereavement care service, can we get them to ring you or to email you or whatever it is, and that works really well. Jamie, you're back on. Is everybody okay to hear me? Because I think one or two people are having problems. Thank you, Sue. You're kind of a wingman today. You're doing a good job of making sure it goes okay. Sorry, Tim, that you've been lost, but I'm still here. So those two ways, really. You can give out leaflets. You can put something on your website. You can just tell people to contact us. You can tell your funeral arrangers, and they will talk to families. That's fine. We will always check it's a part of our referral process that actually that family, that person, is entitled to use the service. If we have any concerns about that, we would double check with you. But alternatively, you are more than welcome to actually directly refer people to us. So if you wanted to give us a call or drop us an email to say, this is the person that we're concerned about, this is the person who's died. We don't need much information. We need to know who's died, when they've died, who is the person that needs support, and the contact details for that person. And you can do all that fine within GDPR and everything else, as long as you've asked the client, told them that's what you're going to do, and documented it, so write it down somewhere. Okay? Right. So why do we need SAIF Care? Because of that lack of community bereavement support. I'll come back to you in 1 second, Sue. What we're often told is that funeral directors would love to refer to X, Y, or Z organisation, but actually they know there's a brick wall, they know there's not going to be that service. And actually what happens then is if it's a community service and a community funeral business, you're going to get the people come back to you and go, we couldn't get service. So that's really difficult. Families often feel that you guys are a really nice source of support, and actually then they end up latching onto you, and they pop back and they come for coffee and they take up time, which is fine, but it can be quite stressful for you guys and you know where to send them, and it's a little bit time consuming, and if you're under pressure, that can be difficult. And at that point, you feel a bit obliged to attempt to provide bereavement services yourselves, which is brilliant if you can do it, absolutely fine. But sometimes there's not the resources or the expertise, and at which point it's one of those points where you go, really wish we had somebody to send these families to. So in lots of ways, SAIF Care, SAIF Bereavement Care, was designed to free up your time, to make sure you've got that additional resource. You carry on caring for your families in the way that you always have done. Do the coffee mornings, do the groups if you want to. This is an additional resource for people who you know are going to struggle, and actually could do with a third party to talk to them about what it means to be bereaved and how grief feels and how it manifests itself, and then actually to put some counselling support in there if they need it. We're also told that SAIF Care has given our funeral businesses brilliant opportunities for marketing. That's not really what it was set up to do, that was a happy accident. But actually we've had window displays, we've had the opportunity for some of our pilot businesses have gone out to their whole communities, to church groups and volunteer groups, and all kinds of different things, to say we have this service, we can support our community really, really well. But actually, ultimately, from my perspective, this is an important service because we know, and I know from doing the research that I've been involved in for years, that actually timely support can have a huge impact on people's long-term bereavement outcomes. Early intervention works when it comes to bereavement, because what doesn't work is leaving people to sit around for months thinking they're going mad and making themselves progressively more ill, and actually then having to really pick up a big problem at the end of it all. A couple of questions. Are family and friends of our clients able to use this service? Yes, within reason. What SAIF would say is that really per funeral you can utilise the helpline as much as you want. We don't mind at all who rings the helpline and who emails us. However, those precious 6 sessions of counselling, whether it's face-to-face or telephone or by webcam or however people want to play it, are going to be precious resources. We don't have unlimited pots of cash for this service. So we'll be very careful to make sure that the people who get the service really need it. And SAIF's kind of policy around this is that per funeral you can have 6 sessions of. Now, we tend to play it on quite a case-by-case basis. We know that a lot of people don't need 6 sessions. They need 1 or 2. They need the reassurance and the normalisation, and actually a little bit of a self-care plan and a bit of hope for what might be in the future. So in that sense, we can share out resources. We really kind of take it as it comes and see how it goes. So yes, we will support family and friends. No, we can't provide 6 sessions of counselling to absolutely everybody who comes through the door. That's why we're really careful to make sure our referral processes and assessment process is quite tight in that sense. But in terms of hitting up the helpline, emailing, the information that we're going to put on the website, I'm hoping that when they give me a web page, which they will, we're going to put in a service called Grief Chat, which is an instant chat function, a little bit slightly more interactive than this. So actually there'll be lots of different ways that we can support people. I also want to work with Dr. Bill Webster, who I've worked with previously, to develop a suite of resources. So not quite books, but certainly really good quality booklets. That's going to take a little time to get sorted out, but we would like to develop all of this stuff. Is it possible to have the PowerPoint slides emailed later? Absolutely, yes. That's fine. I think they normally put them on the SAIF website anyway. What resources do you have? At the moment, not a huge amount. I am negotiating with SAIF to get our webpage so we can put some early information on there about the service, about grief, about how it feels to be bereaved, about other sources of support, because we don't pretend we are the only support service out there, and there may be the suicide bereavement or whatever. There might be very specialist services that people can access as well. And then we have a longer term plan to produce a suite of resources. Oh, my computer has decided to go to sleep. There we go. Next question was, can we give clients an idea of how quickly they'll be able to access the service? At the moment, we have no wait list, which is extraordinary and probably won't last forever. But certainly for the last year, we've been able to get people to see a counsellor if that's what they really need within a couple of days. And we can do that still at the moment. Don't get me wrong, if we have 800 female director businesses working and all sending us 10 clients a week, that might change. But we're open 9 till 9 Monday to Friday. If we miss a call because we're on with somebody else, we will ring back normally in an hour or two. So we pretty much always speak to people the same day or the day after. Emails, again, is a 24/7 business these days, so we can respond very quickly to email. We normally speak to the free person at some length, so that can take 1 or 2 calls if people are busy and you have to bring them back. But generally speaking, certainly within a week, usually quicker, we can get people with a bereavement counsellor. Okay. I'm just checking I've answered all of those questions. Yeah, so at the minute, the short answer is there isn't a waiting list. We don't operate a waiting list. I'm hoping that that will be the same for always. We are having to scale up very, very quickly in terms of our counsellor base. We've got a good counsellor base already. We have no issue at all with providing webcam or telephone counselling. Group chat is always there as a backup. And actually the face-to-face counselling at the moment is fine. Long may that continue. But we'll certainly work very hard to make sure it is. So, SAIF Care is a bereavement care and counselling service, and I say that quite carefully because it is a care and counselling service. Please don't expect everybody who comes to us to be pinged straight into 6 sessions of counselling. It's not appropriate for everybody. Some people don't know what counselling is. Often on the helpline we'll say to people, have you had any counselling support before? No. Do you know what counselling is? Not really. Do you know what to expect? Not a clue. And actually, when you explain it to people, that counselling is actually an active process. You can't turn up and expect to be fixed. This is something that's going to be quite painful in some cases. It's an opportunity. Our counsellors create a beautiful safe space, a really safe space, for people to be able to tell them the story, to relive that story, which can be painful and unwelcome in lots of ways, and actually to kind of receive some common sense input, to look at how the bereavement is affecting their lives, to look at how the future might look, and all kinds of different. So it's not what everybody expects, to be fair. And our counsellors are recruited because they are solution focused. 6 sessions of counselling cannot fix bereavement? No, because nothing can. In that sense, what we can do is put a support structure in place so that people leave 6 sessions of counselling feeling reassured, feeling like they've been able to tell the story, feeling like they've been able to look at some self-care, feeling like they've got some kind of idea that things will change in the future and things will be different, but actually finding that new normal is what we're trying to do with people in 6 sessions. So our counsellors are we're quite selective about people who, yes, they're very highly experienced, yes, they're very highly qualified, yes, they have got to be really human and they have got to get it. What we're not there to do is to analyse people and sit back. What we're there is to actually actively work with clients to figure out what normal is going to look like in the future. Will you monitor the response times going forward? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. And we will communicate about it as well, and we'll make sure that you know if there's ever a delay or ever a problem. Hopefully you'll never hear from us about that, but we will let you know. What we want to do is have at least monthly contact with the businesses that are signed up for SAIF Care. We'll send out MailChimps and you'll get bits of information, but I would like, please, a named contact in each business that we can talk to about your families, about not sharing anything confidential, but actually I want you to be able to ring up myself, Chantal, Sarah in the office and say, we're worried about this person, can you do something? Or got this family and we're a little bit concerned about this problem, can you give us some advice or some tips as to how we want to work with them? We would like a named person in each business that we can deal with, please. It is early days, yes. Response times will change, that's possible. But we've got a really flexible service model in terms of it's not just defaulting into face-to-face, so there are lots of things that we can support people with. And actually, when you take people through a process, quite often they will get off the phone after 1 or 2 sessions and go, you know what, I think I'm okay now because I'm not going mad. This is not unusual. I'm not ill. And actually, I just needed to talk and sort of figure out what this meant for me. And sometimes that's enough, not all the time. So we're open 9 till 9, Monday to Friday. Again, early days, that might change. You know, we may start to open weekends, we may start to open more in the evenings. Not 100% sure yet, but that's how we are at the minute. It's a free phone helpline. The number hasn't changed from when we were pilot, so hopefully that's getting reasonably well embedded. All of this stuff, when I get my webpage on the SAIF website, will be up there. There's email support information, and that's for you and your staff as well as your families. I don't mind who emails us and what you ask. So fire at will. We're waiting to kind of help in that sense. And then those 6 sessions are either face-to-face, telephone, or webcam bereavement counselling when it is wanted and needed. We certainly won't be foisting that on people, and actually they will need to understand what that means, and actually have an idea as to what we want to get out of it, which a lot of bereaved people do. They say, you know, I want to get back to feeling like I can function. I want to get back to wanting to walk my dog again. I want to get back to actually getting up in the morning without that awful sick feeling in my stomach. And actually, a little bit of bereavement counselling can help to do that. But we are there for the care as well as the counselling. So the information, the advice, an informal chat. If you want me to bore you to death about models of grief and loss and bereavement, I'm more than happy to do so. If you want to set up a bereavement group or a coffee morning, give us a call. We'll help. So we're there for the whole kit and caboodle in that sense. If it's bereavement related and you're worried about something or want to ask something, pick up the phone. That's what we're there for. Here we go. So how to get SAIF Care? Well, it is an opt-in service and there is a fee. I don't think it's a disproportionate fee, hopefully. I think it works out somewhere along the lines of between 8p and £1 for a funeral, which I'm not sure you can get 6 sessions of counselling, not that much anywhere else, or all of the other things that we're hopefully packaging around that. You can join SAIF Care, you can watch and see what happens, that's absolutely fine, that's not a problem at all. We know there are some people doing that. We prefer it if you join straight away, because actually the more businesses we have with the service early, the more results we have, actually the better service we can provide. And in that sense, actually what we want people to do is, my eye on the price, I want 850 SAIF members to join this service. Why? Because we'll have the biggest reach of any bereavement service in the UK. Why? Because we'll have enough resource to actually produce fantastic bereavement sources, to try new and wizzy ways of supporting people, whether it is like online chat or we've got an app. There are things we can do if everybody joins that we can't do if only, I don't know, we've got about 140 people joined at the minute. But if that's it, then actually our resources are a little bit more limited. It'll still work, but we can't do the fun and wizzy stuff. It's based on membership rates. I didn't set them. So if you want to know more about that, go onto the SAIF members website and you have to log in. There's a SAIF Care section which gives you all the information about what it costs and how to join. But essentially, you need to go through SAIF to do that. And likewise, you would need to, the question come in 1 minute. If you want the publicity materials, they're all there, they've all been produced. You can have them free in PDF. And I had somebody ask me over the weekend who runs lots of different bereavement support, all kinds of different schemes. And she said, you know, could we put it in our brochure about bereavement that has in our group, our Bill Webster sessions, our whatever it is in the community? Absolutely. Take the SAIF Care information and put it in wherever you want. As long as it says, you know, 9 till 9 Monday to Friday, here's the phone number, here's the email address, and here's, you have to have used a SAIF member business to use this service. Absolutely fine. Everything else is negotiable in that sense, and we would love you please to use the logo, because we think we can really make a good brand out of this as well. And so by all means, get the PDF from SAIF Office and take it to your printer and do whatever you need to do, but please try and keep the key stuff intact. Otherwise, you can buy the leaflets, the posters, the window stickers. Yeah, we'll have car stickers soon if it's up to me. Anything you can get that from SAIF HQ. And if you can't get it already, ask and we'll make sure you can. So you can personalise and brand the material as you want to. We would love to help you put some content on your website if you want any writing about bereavement. Now that might take me a little while, but it'll help in terms of content for your website, content for publicising the service. And if you're struggling with how do we talk to people about this, how do we introduce this service to our families, let me know and we'll talk through it. I'm more than happy to do all that. Question, are you able to provide us with a list of the local counsellors in your area, and do people have a choice? I'll start with the back end first. Do people have a choice? Yes and no. So when they come through the referral process, we will match them closely to the counsellor who we think would be more suitable, and that is based on geography, particular experiences of working with certain types of bereaved people. So if there is a certain issue, there is a suicide issue, or there is a child bereavement, whatever it might be, we'll match those attributes as best we can. Geography is usually the driving force, to be perfectly honest. What we say to every bereaved person who uses the service is that, my computer's going to sleep again, I'm boring it to death. Anyway, what we say to bereaved people who come through is counselling is a very personal journey in that sense. And actually, if you don't feel like your counsellor gets you, or you don't feel that connection that actually is essential for counselling, come back to us, we will find you a different counsellor. That is not a problem. So if you don't feel quite comfortable, or you're thinking, I'm not really sure this person understands me, or whatever it is, counselling is a really personal relationship. And actually, if you don't feel that relationship is quite right, counselling won't work. It's when you get that connection with somebody who you really think can understand you, who can help you, and who you trust. Ultimately, that's what it's about. If you can trust that person and you can share the secrets of your heart, your story, the things that have happened to you that you might not actually have told anybody else, if you can do all that with your counsellor, you're onto a winner. And if you can't, we need to find a different counsellor, and that's what we do. And the question is, do we provide you with a list? If you like, what we would like you to do is meet your counsellors, but bearing in mind that not everybody's got the time. Certainly with the pilots, quite a lot of them got very familiar with the counsellors that we use, very comfortable with the counsellors that we use, more than happy to ask our counsellor to pop in, say hi, introduce themselves, make sure you kind of know who they are. What I would ask you to do at that point though, is if you're using the counsellor for SAIF Care, make sure you refer to us, not directly to the counsellor, or else it won't count under the SAIF Care service and everything will go horribly wrong on the administration front. Does that help you, Haley? Is that a good enough answer? So yes, if you want to know who your counsellors are, that's fine. And people do have a choice in terms of we allocate the initial counsellor, but actually they can come back and ask somebody else. And there's no questions asked at all in that sense, unless we feel like there might be a problem, in which case we will look into what the problem might be. Who provides SAIF Care? Essentially me and my team. So I run a business called Professional Help. We do white label counselling services, lots of training, lots of consultancy for all kinds of different charities and organisations. Not just around bereavement care, but around mental health issues generally. So we also provide a SAIF support service that you may have heard of. We also provide a redundancy support service. Various businesses across the country use that. And basically we have a professional help counselling team, of which some of them are bereavement care specialists, and they are the ones working on the SAIF Care service. All of our counsellors, without exception, have as a minimum a diploma in counselling. And I was speaking to somebody yesterday who thought that was ridiculously high, but actually that's the way I feel comfortable in commending somebody to you when I say, do you know what, this person is really quite highly qualified. And they are. Most of them, a lot of them have got degrees, a lot of them have got postgraduate degrees. Don't let that put you off, because we actually do recruit people because they are very human, quite personable. If we ever feel that the counsellors are not quite right for the service, not quite right for a field director, not quite right for clients, then we will quietly exit them from the service. I'm sorry. Could you repeat the answer in a word or two? Yes, Haley. So yes, you can have a list of your local counsellors. I prefer you to meet them though. So a little bit of a meet and greet would be lovely. And to a degree, people have a choice. We allocate them initially to a counsellor, but if there's any issue, any problem, they don't feel comfortable, then we can always find them a different counsellor. So to a degree, they don't get to pick from a list. That's not the way it works. Are there any counsellors in Northern Ireland? Yes, quite a few. And I believe your cruise has a 3-month waiting list at the minute, which is why we've been quite keen to make sure. Yes, we have, and we've had that question from quite a few Northern Ireland human directors. Where was I? So yeah, minimum diploma of counselling. They're all undertaking continuing professional development. We ask for huge amounts of evidence. So when somebody comes to join our counselling list, they have to apply. They give us their CV. They give us the name of their supervisor so we can check them in regular supervision. They always have 2 references. We have to see their qualifications, and they have to undertake an enhanced DBS clearance check, the same in Northern Ireland and Wales equivalent. And it is only then, when we are satisfied and we've interviewed them, that they will join our list. So we are very careful about who we take on. Organisationally, Professional Help My Business. We're a member of the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy, easy to say, and also the National Counselling Society, which gives us a set of standards and good practice. And we also adhere to the good practice guidelines in providing bereavement services, which were produced last year or the year before. Benefits, don't really need to tell this to you, because if I do, then there's something wrong really, because it's a great service and hopefully it will really help your clients. But it's fast, it's effective and it's professional. Again, our average time from inquiry to counsellor is a couple of days, and if that ever changes and gets significantly more, if it creeps over a week, I would say let people know. We're happy to help staff. If you've got any questions or you want any advice or information, fine. Often that good bereavement care, we're always looking for market advantage these days, or standing out a little bit from the crowd. And hopefully one of the things that SAIF Care will do is actually get a life of its own and really make sure that independent funeral directors, those members of SAIF who are wanting those quality marks, can really start to stand out from some of the other funeral directors that are out there. We're talking a little bit about community standing, client loyalty. That's great, that's important for you. Not so much for me. I'm interested in making sure that people actually have good health outcomes after bereavement and actually can resume some kind of good quality normal. And we have a clear UK-wide brand and actually potentially huge reach, possibly as big as anybody has, at which point we'll become a really good professional service and provide a real alternative to people from having to hang around, wait for service, wait for a GP counsellor, which can take months and months and months, which actually will help us to transform bereavement care and access to bereavement care, and hopefully the impact that bereavement can have on people's mental health. I'm not going to run through the next one because it's about the stuff that we can offer in the future. So I'm writing about bereavement, the leaflets, training, advice and consultancy. If you think we could be doing anything else, let me know. But these slides will be on the SAIF site afterwards anyway, so feel free to read in your own time. That is our phone number. That's the email address. I'm going to stop now in case I get cut off. So if anyone's got any questions, fire at will. But other than that, just to say thank you very much for your support. We think this could be a really exciting service. We think it can really help bereaved people. We think it can really help independent funeral directors. And so, fingers crossed, that's what we're going to do today. Has anyone got any questions? Ooh, got a couple of people coming through. No pressure, but type quicker. It's still coming. Okay, so hi John. Did you explain the cost involved? No, I didn't. It ranges from, I think, £75 for the very smallest independents, and goes up to, I don't know, a couple of grand. It's based on your membership tier, so it goes right up to 1 to 12 and beyond. They're on the SAIF website. All of them, how you join SAIF Care is through SAIF itself, not through us, not through SAIF Care, not through professional help. You actually have to get in touch with SAIF office. They will give you all the information, although it's on the members' website. They'll be able to sign you up, sort you out with the marketing material and the leaflets and so on. So circa 400, yeah, I can have a look if you want right now, but it is on the SAIF website, and it's on your membership tier, basically. I would imagine it will be about 350 quid off the top of my head completely. What would happen if someone needed more than 6 sessions? That happens sometimes, and sometimes we can give them. It depends on the circumstances, because what we find with some bereaved people are, if it looks complicated from the outset, we will do an assessment session to start off with, so we can actually have a really good look at what we're dealing with and take a recommendation from the counsellor as to what we might do with this person. We always review after 3 or 4 sessions sessions anyway. We'll take a review with the bereaved person and figure out where we're up to, what's helped so far, what the future looks like in terms of ongoing support. There are times when we can give 2 or 3 extra sessions if they're really needed. And I can think of times where there's been inquests happening or something particularly complicated, and we can work with that flexibly. It doesn't work for everybody, it's a very small percentage of people. We are not really encouraging of bereaved people then going on to get counselling privately, and we don't encourage that really. And we can refer to other bereavement services, but in that sense it's on a bit of a case-by-case basis. We will always help bereaved people find, in lots of ways, the ideal is that they come through to us on the helpline. They might go through 6 sessions, which is a sort of a planned timetable of support, and that's probably going to be over 6 weeks, but preferably over 12 weeks or a little bit longer. And at that point, looking through the exit strategy, you know, what's your social support looking like now? What's in the community that you can access? If we're ever concerned that somebody really does need ongoing mental health care support, then we would refer them to their GP or their community mental health team for real sort of in-depth care. So it's on a bit of a case-by-case basis, to be honest, Alan, but we have got discretion in terms of supporting people a little bit longer if necessary. But obviously that sometimes is budget constrained as well. Will you be sending a Q&A from today? Yes, if you like. I will take a copy of it and fire it over to Claire in the office, and she can add it to the SAIF website. Will you be asking for feedback from people who always? Absolutely, yes. We do ask for feedback from people who use the service. We collect lots and lots and lots and lots of anecdotal feedback, what people say on the phone, what people email, all that kind of thing. But actually at the end of support, whether that's not usually after one session on the helpline, but if someone's going to actual counselling support, we would, independently from the office, so not from the counsellor, we would send them out an evaluation form, and that can be done online or it can be done on paper. Or actually, if we suspect that that person isn't either fully happy, it's not really happened very often, we will give them a call and actually talk through what's happened and why. And similarly, you probably haven't got it yet, but we have a complaints procedure, and we will obviously work quite hard to make things right and things go wrong. Yes, we do ask for feedback, and we're publishing it pretty regularly as well. I agree, Sue. I agree entirely. It was SAIF Bereavement Care when we set it up, for reasons that are nothing to do with me as far as I can tell. It was decided that the service title will be, gone off again, SAIF Care, which is great, and it looks lovely, and the logo is fabulous, and I really like it. You would not be the only person to say this. We had 2 or 3 people say the same thing at the AGM over the weekend. I can't see any reason why it can't be called SAIF Bereavement Care. Certainly the original leaflets had SAIF Bereavement Care written on them, and I suspect if enough people say so, that's what it will go back to. Anything else? Conscious of your time, feel free to drop off if you need to, or thank you very much for your time in the meantime. It's a bit strange talking to yourself and looking at your computer. I hope it's not been too strange for you. It's been okay for me. But if you do need any more information, or you just clarify, if it's a business question, as in how much does it cost and how do I join and where do I get leaflets from, please direct those to SAIF. You can direct them to me, I'll just transfer you to SAIF anyway. But anything else at all that you need to know about the bereavement side of things, the counsellors, the clients, how we work, just shout and we will happily try to answer them. Nice to see you all. Thank you very much indeed. Have a lovely Wednesday afternoon. I'll be getting a cup of tea time. Take care. I'm going to switch it off now, hopefully.